The most dangerous moment for a Russian soldier in Ukraine may no longer be the moment he hears the gunshot. It may be the moment he thinks he is hidden. At night, a squad can move through a frozen field, crawl toward a tree line, or wait under smoke, believing the darkness is protecting them. But the battlefield above them is not blind. A Ukrainian reconnaissance UAV may already be watching the route from the sky, while a sniper team on the ground waits behind thermal optics that do not care about darkness. To a thermal scope, a human body is not hidden. It is heat. It is movement. It is a target forming against cold ground. And once that target is marked, every mistake matters. A pause can reveal fear. A sprint can reveal direction. A group breaking apart can reveal where the next strike should land. Before going deeper, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Military Force for more clear analysis on the weapons, battles, and geopolitical shocks shaping today's world. So how did Ukraine turn the night itself into a trap for Russian infantry? Thermal optics are changing the night battlefield because darkness no longer protects movement the way soldiers once believed. In older wars, night could hide a patrol, slow down enemy fire, and give infantry a chance to cross open ground with lower risk. In Ukraine, that old rule is breaking down. A Russian soldier may still see only black fields, broken trees, and frozen roads ahead, but a Ukrainian sniper team can see something very different through a thermal scope. They do not need moonlight. They do not need a clear outline of a uniform. They only need the heat coming from a human body. This is why thermal scopes are not just better night vision. Normal night vision needs some light, even if that light is weak. Thermal systems work in another way. They read heat. A soldier walking across cold ground becomes easier to notice because his body stands out against the colder background. The colder the environment, the sharper that contrast can become. That means winter nights in eastern Ukraine can turn against the infantry moving through them. What feels like cover to the man on the ground may look like a bright signal to the team watching from a hidden position. Ukraine is making this more dangerous by linking sniper teams with reconnaissance UAVs. The sniper does not have to search the whole field alone. The UAV can watch from above, scan roads, tree lines, trenches, and approach routes, then help identify where Russian troops are moving. This creates a wider picture. The drone sees the pattern, while the sniper waits for the right moment. A small group that uses the same path twice can become predictable. A squad that slows down near the same bend can reveal a weak point. A team that bunches up before crossing open ground can give Ukraine the exact moment to prepare a shot. This is not only about one sniper having a better scope. It is about a system. Thermal optics give the ground team the ability to see through darkness. UAVs give them early warning and overhead tracking. The spotter connects those two layers by reading distance, movement, spacing, and timing. Together, they can turn a night patrol into a watch target before the soldiers even know they have made a mistake. Ukrainian snipers near Bakhmut were reportedly able to engage Russian targets from around 900 meters or more using thermal optics. That distance matters because it changes the feeling of safety on the battlefield. A soldier may think he is far from the enemy line. He may believe smoke, branches, and darkness are enough to reduce the danger. But if his heat signature is visible from that range, the space between the two sides is no longer empty. It becomes a monitored zone. This also weakens traditional concealment. Trees can break a human shape, but they may not hide heat. Smoke can block normal sight, but it may not fully remove a thermal image. Camouflage can blend into the ground, but it cannot erase body temperature. That is why Russian infantry face a harsher problem at night. They are not only trying to avoid bullets, they are trying to avoid being seen by a battlefield that can now read movement in a different language. And if thermal optics are the tool that helps Ukraine find the target, Bakhmut became the place where that vision was turned into a deadly combat system. Bakhmut showed how a sniper team and a drone could turn an approach route into a killing zone. This was not a clean battlefield with clear lines and open space. It was a broken city, full of smashed buildings, narrow streets, basements, courtyards, and short gaps where one wrong step could expose a whole squad. For Wagner, the mission was simple but costly. Small assault groups were pushed forward again and again to test Ukrainian defenses, find weak points, and keep pressure on the city. Some groups entered buildings, others crossed open ground. Many tried to move through the same dangerous strips because the city itself forced them into limited routes. That is where Ukraine's sniper and drone system became so effective. Bakhmut was not only a battle of artillery, tanks, and infantry. It became a battle of observation. A reconnaissance UAV could look over the ruins and see the wider pattern of movement. It could notice which building Wagner troops entered, which courtyard they crossed, and where they paused before moving again. On the ground, a sniper team could focus on the exact point where a soldier might appear for only a few seconds. That is the real meaning of the battlefield logic from the source transcript. The drone sees the building, and the sniper sees the soldier. This changed the sniper's role. In older combat, a sniper often had to wait, watch, and hope the enemy made a mistake inside his own field of view. In Bakhmut, the UAV helped build the picture before the shot was taken. It could pass the rough position, the direction of movement, and the shape of the enemy group. The spotter could then read distance, timing, and likely exposure points. The shooter did not need to search the whole city block alone. He could wait for the moment when the target stepped into a window, crossed a gap, or looked out from cover. That made every short movement more dangerous for Wagner troops. The pressure grew even worse when the fighting reached the Bakhmutka River area. Ukraine destroyed key bridges, and the river became part of the front line. That left open ground between the opposing sides, and crossing it became extremely risky. VOA, citing a British defense update in March 2023, reported that Ukrainian sniper fire from fortified buildings in western Bakhmut had made the open ground between the sides a killing zone, making a frontal Wagner assault westward highly challenging. That phrase matters because it explains the battle in simple terms. A killing zone is not just a place where soldiers can be shot. It is an area where the enemy already understands the route, controls the view, and waits for movement to appear. For Wagner, this meant speed alone was not enough. Numbers were not enough. Even courage had limits when every crossing point could be watched from above and covered from the ground. The most important lesson from Bakhmut is that drones made sniper fire less passive and more connected. The UAV did not replace the sniper. It made him more dangerous. It turned a hidden rifle team into part of a larger sensor network. That network could watch buildings, predict movement, and prepare fire before the Russian assault group understood how exposed it had become. And this is why the first shot in such a system is only the beginning, because the greater damage often comes in the seconds after the squad realizes it has already been found. The first sniper shot is dangerous not only because it can hit one soldier, but because it can break the mind of the entire group. A small infantry unit survives by moving as one body. One man leads, another watches the side, someone keeps their distance, someone carries heavier firepower, someone knows where the group should run if the route collapses. That order may look simple, but under fire, it is the only thing that keeps fear from taking control. Once a sniper round hits, that order can disappear in seconds. The first casualty creates more than shock. It creates confusion. The squad suddenly has no clear picture of where the threat is, how far away it is, or whether the next round is already coming. This is the moment when trained movement can turn into panic. One soldier drops flat because staying low feels safer. Another runs forward because speed feels like the only answer. A third man turns around and searches for the shooter, even though standing still may make him easier to see. The group is no longer acting like a unit. It has become several frightened individuals making different choices at the same time. That is exactly why the first shot matters so much in this kind of battlefield system. The sniper does not need to destroy the whole squad with one rifle. He only needs to force the enemy to reveal what the group is made of. Who is the leader? Who is carrying the machine gun? Who panics first? Who tries to pull the others back? Who runs toward cover without checking the route? Each answer gives more information to the Ukrainian side. In older battlefield conditions, panic could sometimes help a soldier disappear. Smoke, dust, noise, darkness, and broken terrain could hide the reaction. But in Ukraine, those same reactions may be watched from different angles. A soldier lying still can become a fixed heat point. A man sprinting across open ground creates a clear line of movement. A fighter who stops to look for the sniper gives the shooter a steadier target. Every instinct that feels natural on the ground can become useful data for the side, watching through thermal optics and UAV feeds. This is where the psychological battle becomes just as important as the physical hit. A squad under pressure must decide fast, but fast decisions are not always good decisions. The men may not know if the shot came from a building, a tree line, a trench, or a hidden firing position farther away. They may not know whether a drone is above them. They may not even understand that their spacing and movement have already been studied before the first round was fired. That uncertainty slows the brain. It also breaks trust inside the formation. When no one knows who has control, every soldier starts trying to save himself. For Ukraine, this creates an opening that is larger than one casualty. It turns a moving squad into a pattern of exposed behavior. The sniper's shot creates the first crack, but the real damage comes when fear widens that crack into disorder. A wounded man may pull others toward him. A leader may hesitate. A support weapon may stop firing. A retreat path may become crowded. In a few seconds, a small group can lose the rhythm that made it dangerous. That is the cold logic of this system. The rifle delivers the shock, but observation turns that shock into control. And when Russian soldiers try to escape the open ground by running toward tree lines or forest cover, the fight does not end there. It simply moves from the sniper's scope to the drone watching above. Tree lines no longer give Russian infantry the same protection they once did, because Ukrainian drones can keep watching after the sniper shot forces movement. From the ground, a tree line still looks like a natural escape route. It breaks the view, it hides the body, it gives a frightened soldier something solid to run toward after open ground becomes too dangerous. But this is where the modern battlefield becomes colder. The soldier may disappear from the sniper's direct line of sight, yet he does not disappear from the sky. A reconnaissance. UAV can stay above the area, hold the route in view, and follow the small signs that a man on the ground may not think about. Branches move, grass bends. Snow or mud shows a path. A soldier slows down near a ditch, then stops under cover because he believes he has finally broken contact. But from above, that pause can become the final clue. This is the handoff that makes the system so dangerous. The sniper creates pressure. The rifle shot forces the group to move. Then the UAV keeps the fight alive when the enemy tries to reach cover. That means the battle does not end when Russian soldiers enter trees or brush. It changes shape. The sniper may no longer be the main threat at that moment, but the drone has taken over the tracking role. It can circle, adjust its angle, and wait until the target is fixed again. Once the location is clear, the next strike can come from an FPV drone, artillery, mortar fire, or another shooter already watching a different point. This is why the tree line can become a container instead of a shelter. It limits where the soldier can move, and it gives the drone time to study the pattern. The problem is not only the trench itself, it is the space around it, the road behind it, the supply path beside it, and the wooded strip where troops try to regroup. When overhead surveillance can reach deep into these areas, the front becomes wider than a line on a map. It becomes a moving zone of risk, and infantry must assume that every route can be watched. Russia understands this danger, and that is why its troops have tried to use thermal blankets and anti-drone cloaks. The idea is simple. If thermal optics read body heat, then a soldier tries to cover that heat and blend into the background. In theory, this can help. In practice, the battlefield is less forgiving. If the cloak is badly used, if it moves in an unnatural way, or if it creates a strange cold patch in a warmer area, it can still draw attention. A countermeasure can solve one problem and create another. Ukraine's advantage is not that every drone sees everything all the time. That would be too simple. The real advantage is adaptation. If Russian troops hide heat, Ukrainian teams look for movement. If soldiers freeze in place, operators study the ground around them. If a group changes routes, UAVs watch for new habits forming over time. This is a race between concealment and detection, and the side that learns faster gains the edge. For Russian infantry, the lesson is harsh. Running into trees may feel like survival, but survival now depends on whether the drone has lost the story of the movement. If the UAV still understands where the soldier came from, where he stopped, and where he is likely to go, then the kill chain remains alive. That is why this fight is moving beyond one rifle, one drone, or one hiding place. It is becoming a contest of speed, data, and battlefield adaptation, where the side that processes information faster can turn even cover into a trap. Modern warfare in Ukraine is now rewarding the side that can observe longer, process faster, and strike with better coordination. This is the deeper lesson behind the sniper drone system. A rifle team is no longer just two men lying in a hidden position and waiting for a target. It is now part of a wider network that includes reconnaissance, UAVs, thermal sensors, spotters, FPV drones, artillery crews, video feeds, and commanders who turn small pieces of information into fast decisions. When that network works, the enemy does not need to reach the trench before the battle begins. He can be found on the approach road. He can be tracked near a damaged building. He can be marked while trying to regroup behind the line. That is why this war is no longer only about who has more shells, tanks, or soldiers. Those things still matter, but they do not decide everything on a battlefield covered by cameras, sensors, and drones. Drone-infested areas near the front as a kill zone that can stretch around 10 kilometers on each side of the contact line. Inside that space, movement becomes dangerous because UAVs from both armies can quickly find vehicles, infantry groups, supply teams, and evacuation routes. This weakens Russia's older advantage in numbers, armor, and artillery, because mass is harder to use when every large formation can be seen before it reaches the main fight. A tank column may still have firepower. An infantry wave may still create pressure. But if drones detect the movement early, the attacking force can be slowed, separated, and hit before it can build momentum. The same logic is now shaping smaller actions across the front. A sniper team can watch one sector. A UAV can scan the wider route. An FPV crew can wait for a target that stops under pressure. Artillery can strike a crossing point when troops bunch together. None of these weapons is new in isolation, but their connection is what changes the battle. The battlefield is becoming less about one powerful strike and more about a chain of small decisions made faster than the enemy can react. FPV drones have come to dominate much of the fighting in Ukraine, making almost every movement more dangerous. Troop rotation, medical evacuation, supply delivery, and even tank assaults now carry higher risk because drones can appear quickly and strike from short range. Drone-caused casualties rose from less than 10% of total casualties in 2022 to a level that could reach 80% in the previous year. That number shows how deeply the war has changed. The sky is no longer just a place for aircraft. It has become a crowded layer of small machines that deny movement to both sides. For infantry, the future answer will not be one simple device. Soldiers will have to move in smaller groups, avoid repeated routes, control their heat signature, use decoys more carefully, and coordinate electronic warfare with every advance. But even then, the advantage will go to the force that sees first, shares information faster, and turns that data into action before the enemy understands what is happening. This is where the story moves beyond snipers and drones, because Ukraine is showing how the modern battlefield may be decided by the speed of observation itself. The war in Ukraine is showing a cold change in modern combat. A soldier can no longer trust the old forms of cover. Darkness can hide him from the eye, but not always from thermal optics. A tree line can break his shape, but not always his movement. Smoke, camouflage, and familiar routes may still help, yet they no longer guarantee safety when drones are watching from above. This is the deeper lesson from the sniper and UAV system Ukraine is building. A Russian infantry group may be under pressure before it reaches the trench, before it sees the enemy, and even before it understands that its route has been studied. Bakhmut showed this in brutal form, when Wagner's assault paths became deadly zones under Ukrainian observation and fire. Now that lesson has spread across a much wider battlefield, where roads, forests, supply tracks, and evacuation routes can all become part of the same kill chain. Russia will keep trying to adapt. Its troops may use thermal blankets, anti-drone cloaks, smaller formations, and less predictable movement. But every answer can create a new signal. A strange cold patch, a broken branch, a repeated stop, or a familiar route can still give the watching side something to read. That is why this story is bigger than one sniper, one UAV, or one shot. The advantage now belongs to the force that sees longer, thinks faster, and turns information into action before the enemy knows he has been found. For infantry, survival may no longer begin when bullets start flying. It begins with every step taken under a sky that may already be watching. If you want more clear analysis on the weapons, battles, and geopolitical shocks shaping today's world, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Military Force, which was worth $13.65 million.